Now to that story that broke not long after we got off air last night. Authorities in Baltimore in the US have given up hope now of finding 6 missing men alive after searching for them in frigid waters after that incredible bridge collapse last night. It's now almost 24 hours since a container ship hit that major bridge pylon, triggering the staggering and tragic collapse. It happened about 1:40 a.m. local time in Baltimore, so given the traffic was very light and the ship managed to sound a last-second warning, the casualty count now will be much lower than was first feared. But many Australians my age or more seeing this last night will have been shocked that such a tragedy could happen again. Surely the world should have learned our lessons from the Tasman Bridge disaster in Hobart back in 1975.
It's a tragedy etched into Tasmania's history. At 9:27 on January 5, 1975, the bulk ore carrier Lake Illawarra slammed into the Tasman Bridge. Part of the bridge collapsed, sending thousands of tonnes of concrete and steel onto the ship's deck and into the river below. Several cars plunged over the edge, while others skidded to a stop just in time. 12 lives were lost, 7 crew of the Lake Illawarra and 5 occupants of the vehicles.
Yeah, what a shock that was to the nation at the time. One man who was in Hobart at the time and helped in the recovery was ferry operator, now boat builder, Bob Clifford. Bob joins me now. Thanks for joining us, Bob. That vision from Baltimore last night, it must have brought back some very strong memories for you.
Yes, it certainly did. It wasn't pleasant to see it, and I really feel for those people that have lost their lives. It's a tragedy.
Now, Baltimore is going to be cut in two the way Hobart was for years afterwards. But I know in Hobart, when that bridge was rebuilt, I understand stronger guards and protections were put in to protect those main pylons in case there was a collision ever again. But also much stricter rules for the piloting of vessels and the use of tugboats around vessels going under the bridge so that you would never have that happen again. Are you surprised that other harbours haven't put in place similar measures to make sure it couldn't happen?
Well, I am surprised that the pylons didn't appear to have any guards around them at all. The Tasman Bridge, if it was to happen again, have been strengthened, particularly the main span. If a ship was to hit the main pylons today, it would hopefully be a glancing blow and not do too much damage. But the way that bridge came down dramatically was something that we should all be very fearful of.
Well, yeah, there's so many bridges going across working ports like this, so I would have thought protecting the pylon so that the bridge hits a guard, other measures, bollards before it gets to the pylon would have been fundamental, especially after what we saw happen in Hobart. Now, looking at the city now, you'll understand what it's about to go through. You got involved in Hobart in putting in a ferry service where there used to be a bridge. What was a united city suddenly became split in two, and it's going to create enormous problems of a similar kind in Baltimore until they can get that bridge rebuilt.
Yeah, it certainly will. It's a major disruption for the city, quite apart from the loss of lives. The disruption that'll go on for many years while they rebuild that bridge will be something something terrible. So, to happen in Hobart again would be very unlikely. We have very experienced pilots who guide the ships through the bridge. We have multiple engines on ships these days, so that even if an engine did fail, it shouldn't cause a problem. Our ships, of course, I go through the bridge maybe 4 or 5 times a year with our ships, and we have multiple engines, and a loss of one engine's no big deal. The loss of steering would not be a big deal, for example. So it's extremely unlikely that a major catastrophe would happen in Hobart, but we have to be careful. We do stop the cars from travelling as the ships go under the bridge. So all the precautions are taken.
Yeah, that goes on to this day. Fascinating stuff. Thanks for joining us, Bob. I appreciate it. Robert Clifford there, live from Hobart. They still stop cars as major ships are passing under that bridge. These are some of the lessons that I thought we would have learned from Hobart. We obviously have learnt in Hobart, but they weren't learnt in the US, and Baltimore suffering the consequences now. Quite a tragedy.